Campione Law Studios in the heart of Duval County, Florida. This is the Unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars Podcast. Your host, Seth Studer. Oh. Yeah, let it ride out. We got the mellow version playing today. Damn. Let it ride. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of the Unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars Podcast. My name is Seth Studer. I am an associate attorney here at Campione Law, and I am grieving. I am out of sorts. I am miffed. I am discombobulated. I don't know the correct words to articulate because I'm coming to you a day after a brutal loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. 31 Bengals, Jaguars 27. A game where we should have won. I mean, and everything seemed to break against us. You know, and so a little housekeeping before we kind of get into that game. I'm trying to come to you all as a bi-weekly Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. And we have our first very, very special guest coming to you here soon. But as a bi-weekly podcast, it's so hard not to be in this hot take zone where I'm just reacting to the last game. Because the last time I saw y'all, it was before the Panthers game. And in that game, we romped them 26-10. And it felt like it should be even greater than that. So we have the higher of the highs, and right now we're dealing with a gut punch. And the punch hurts so hard because, remember last year, we went, 3-10 in one-score games? 3-10? And this is not the first time that backup Bengals quarterback Jake Browning has beat us. Remember, he beat us in that wacky Trevor Lawrence sprained ankle game, Monday Night Football, Week 13, 2023. And now, man, we're just licking our wounds because, I mean, you had that. Let's not even get in to the pass interference call on fourth down that was called against Travis Hunter while he was playing perfect defense there on the right sideline. Bogus call. I mean, let's not talk about the obvious drop touchdown from De'Ami Brown. Let's not talk about Brian Thomas Jr.'s less than stellar day. More than that in a minute. I mean, just every single thing just went against us. Trevor with some untimely interceptions, one in the red zone. I mean, we left so many points. We were the better team and we beat ourselves. However, on the other hand, if you were to tell me before the season started, yeah, we would lose to the Bengals and we'd lose to them by 4 points. We had a good offensive showing. Defense showed up, wrecked their line at times. I'd be happy with it. I'd be happy with it. But and I guess that's the big thing here. We're a better team than what we think we were before kickoff against Carolina. Because Carolina, we had a stranglehold, and we showed that even though we didn't play a perfect game, even though our playmakers didn't ball out, we took our B- game and stomped an inferior opponent in Carolina. And that's something that really needs to be taken to heart. That's the kind of game that last year would have been kind of down to the wire, not this year. And I think a lot of that has to do with our players and our coaching. And our players and our coaching was the same thing. I think our players were the one that let us down in week 2. But our coaching, I thought in week 2 was superb. You know, and a lot of people are going to talk about that, fourth quarter, 4th and 5, do you go for it up 3? I think they're at the Bengals 7. Yes, I think you do. Liam Cohen on both games has won the toss and has not deferred, but wanted to receive the ball. I think that speaks a lot to his aggressiveness, and I think it speaks to his coaching style. I think he believes in this offense. So, what are we to take about? What are we to really understand and consider 2 weeks in before we enter a very tough stretch coming up? Next week, home for Houston. After that, we go out to San Francisco. And we play a backup quarterback, which scares the crap out of us because we usually lose to backup quarterbacks, especially when they're former Jaguars quarterbacks and Mac Jones. And then my understanding is home Monday night, all my rowdy friends here on Monday night against the Chiefs, who are looking a little bit more vulnerable. So what are we to take from it? So because we're not a weekly show, because we are a bi-weekly show, I would like to first start off with a segment that I'm going to call 2 weeks, 2 games, 2 truths. Truth number 1. BTJ acted like a CEO in his game against the Bengals. Brian Thomas Jr. is an awesome wide receiver, and he came into this season as a budding star. I mean, he was routinely picked in like top 12 on people's fantasy drafts. But against the Bengals, he played like a CEO. He played like a person that had to make business decisions, and it was really disheartening to see. He was probably, individually, if you had to put it on one person, the single biggest reason why the Jaguars didn't win that close game against the Bengals week 2. Let's go blow by blow here. Second quarter, Trevor's interception. He kind of gives kind of a half effort to kind of put out one hand as he's coming across because he sees someone else is coming to meet him, and the ball tips off of Brian Thomas Jr.'s hand, floats it up, interception. They get the ball in our territory. Fourth quarter, we're tied 24-24. It's 3rd and goal from the 7. Trevor throws a pretty damn good ball into the end zone. And Brian Thomas Jr. goes up, but he doesn't go up for it. Alligator arm, I don't know what it was, but he just kind of like one of the Munchkins from the Wizard of Oz kind of put his hands up. He didn't attack the ball on a ball that could have been caught for a touchdown. Unfortunately, we had to take 3 there. So now we're up 27-24. And after an excellent interception and return by Devin Lloyd, we get ourselves into 4th and 5. We talked about that earlier. Ultra aggressive. But you get it. You get the first down, you win the game. Trevor throws a bullet right into number 7 of Brian Thomas Jr., and he drops it. Now, granted, on that play, he was a yard or 2 short, and he would have had a pivot and lunge to get the first down. So, maybe if he would have caught it, they wouldn't have converted on 4th down. Possible, but backbreaking stuff. And then this is something I only watched on the replay because I turned the game off as soon as they scored that touchdown. But on the final play, when they're kind of doing trying to do the Miami Miracle, trying to pitch it, the River City relay, Travis Etienne has the ball, is running. Brian Thomas Jr. is kind of behind him, and he's jogging. He's just kind of jogging. He's out. He's out on this. And doesn't provide himself an option and hustle up so he can be a pitch option for Travis Etienne during this essentially Hail Mary opportunity. And it just kind of just summed it all up. And you see it on the tape. It's not just that first game. Brian Thomas Jr. so far doesn't look like he's ready to be a difference maker this year yet. I hope that changes. I think it will change, but we have to be able to call it out, right? Because you can tell after a lackluster Carolina game, the team wanted to get him involved early. in the Cincinnati game. The first play of the game, short pass to Brian Thomas Jr., which he caught, one of his very few receptions. Throughout 2 weeks, 19 targets, 5 receptions, 60 yards. Last year, Brian Thomas Jr. was third in receiving yards in the entire NFL. And he was 6th in touchdowns. And most of that production came from Mac Jones and not Trevor Lawrence. I mean, maybe it's a Trevor Lawrence problem. Maybe it's the way that Trevor throws the ball, but whatever it is, they need to get on the same page. They need to show up. Because what we saw from our star receiver in the first 2 weeks is not going to cut it. And the most frustrating part of this whole thing is that the physical tools are all there. He's long, he's fast, he's got the frame, but talent in the NFL does not matter without intensity. Through 2 weeks, he's been more of a passenger than a playmaker. And that stands out on a roster where everybody is scratching and clawing for every yard. And Brian Thomas Jr., we'll get with it in our interview here, but he's a quiet type, right? He's humble. But we both know that he hasn't been just quiet, but a quiet effort type on the field until these last couple of weeks. And Jaguars fans, we have a rough, history with first round wide receivers, and we felt like we finally hit on one. We don't have. It's not a Matt Jones or Reggie Williams or Justin Blackmon. Comparing BTJ to them would be like not apples and oranges, but apples and desk lamps. But forgive the fans for the day if they're a little miffed, right? And so let's not overreact to his work rate and his ability yet. But if he stacks more games like he did in the last 2 weeks, it will be hard not to overreact. So BTJ, no more CEO games. Play through the whistle, man. You got this. That's truth number one. Truth number two is Cohen creativity. Liam Cohen creativity on both sides of the ball. For all the bad things I said there about BTJ, honestly, that's one player. As a team, I've been very, very impressed by Liam Cohen's ability to generate a rush game, to generate a dynamic offense throughout 2 weeks. And you can tell in the Carolina game, they just came out more prepared than Dave Canales' team. They just came out more prepared. And you saw it in the blocking scheme. Even on that touchdown run, that end around reverse to Brian Thomas Jr., you saw this orbit motion by tight end Brenton Strange come out and then lead with a host of offensive linemen down the field. And you can tell what Liam Cohen is doing. We don't have the most talented offensive line, but Trevor Lawrence has only been sacked one time throughout 2 games. It's been really, really impressive. They make a trade for Tank Bigsby, get a 5th and a 6th. Actually, that 5th could become a 4th, depending on Bryce Huff's performance with San Francisco. But they've been using and revitalizing Travis Etienne and letting Bashal Tootin with a nasty cut on his touchdown against Cincinnati shine. Even LaQuint Allen, great pass protecting. Just the entire scheme is made and built up. Now, there's been some execution issues, right? Trevor hasn't made all the throws. He's thrown an interception or 2, some of which not his fault, some of which were great plays by the defense. I'm thinking about that J.C. Horn one where he circled back and one-handed it. But the entire scheme, it just doesn't have that, stale stink that it did with Doug Peterson in the last coaching staff. And that creativity has, I think, even shown up more on defense. I called it, Cohen's creativity. I might as well call it Campanile's creativity too. Because finally we're able to, with our use the strengths of our players to get home. We're dialing up simulated pressures, really creative blitzes, where we're lining up the box, sometimes just sending 4 and dropping back 4, and sometimes loading up the box and then blitzing with another player there off the edge. I'm thinking Jordan Lewis came off the edge against the Carolina in the Carolina game, got into Bryce's face and almost caused an interception. It's been really, really cool to just go, okay, let's not be predictable anymore, right? And you just see it on the field. And that's what makes me so excited, even at 1-1 after a tough loss. So, Jaguars fans, tell me this. Does this loss to the Bengals feel like last year's loss? No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because I believe we have a base of creativity and coaching that will allow us to be the better team on the field, I would say more weeks than not, the rest of the season. I think 11-6 is what I predicted at the beginning of the season. I think that due to Cohen and Campanile's creativity, I think 11-6 is still very much in play. The Jaguars look good. It's a weird loss. Shake it off. Play through the whistle. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to also now thank Campione Law for sponsoring this podcast. Remember, we're a personal injury firm around here. Bad things happen to good people all the time, especially auto accidents. Do you know what to do? Are you going to do it on your own? Or do you need help representing you against big insurance companies and all that stuff? If you feel like you need help, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you. So, feeling great about the Jaguars, but a little bittersweet. It's just so hard to be so optimistic after that game. But after thinking about it 24 hours, I really am optimistic for the rest of the season. But I think the next 3 games, home Houston, at San Francisco, Monday Night Football for the Chiefs, I think we better go at least 1-2 for me to contain that same optimism. But ladies and gentlemen, here in just a few seconds, we have a very special first guest. And we talk all sorts of ball. We talk about the Jaguars, past, present. Stay tuned. You're in for a doozy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Unofficial Jacksonville Jaguar Podcast. You can see I'm sitting in a different chair because I have special guests here. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce my special guest, Christopher Campione, special guest because he signs my paychecks. But we also have a special guest. He, in his 13 seasons in the NFL, ran for over 11,000 yards. He is a legend. He is number 28. He is Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Hey, obviously we're coming off the back of a really wacky loss to the Bengals, 31-27.
Yeah.
What do you make of that game? What do you think the Jaguars are thinking here the day after?
You know what? They're probably in there saying, man, we were close, not close enough. Some remnants of a year ago, played a lot of tight games, but I think 10 games where they lost by a touchdown or less. And, you don't want to have that close of a memory to it. But, yes, I think overall they're a better team than they were a year ago. Let's just say that first and foremost. I love the fact that Liam Cohen, you can look at the play calling and you can't notice what they're running. Right. Before, I could kind of call out some plays prematurely or what have you. But in this particular situation, everything's kind of it just keeps you off balance. But for the offense, it keeps them on course, on track. So I guess, we don't want to lose them, first and foremost. We don't want to lose them. Looking at it all, I said to myself, you got to give the Bengals credit.
Right, yep.
What they were able to do without their starting quarterback, they rallied around Browning. This is what NFL teams are getting paid to do. Not all of them can execute, but they were able to go out, find a way, continue to grind and fight, make the necessary plays, and win the game for their team. And they're 2-0. We're 1-1. All in all, it's not the end of the world. We got a lot of football left. Still would have loved to have pulled off that win. I know people want to throw Liam under the bus about the 4th and 5.
Yeah.
I think it's a great call.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a great call. I said it on radio show this morning. They came in the building aggressive. Draft night, they were aggressive. They say we came here to win.
Right.
That call was we want to win. We're going to either go up 10. We're not going to play to lose.
Right.
And I respect it, so I'm all for it.
And something I realized in both the games, as opposed to deferring after winning the coin toss, they both wanted the ball both times. Wanted to start off, and I think that kind of hyper-aggressive strategy is probably going to win us more games than lose some under this regime. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you I like the strategy. They're pretty aggressive. If you can, go out and capitalize on your opening 10, 15 play script, as we've done to start the season. We haven't seen that in Jacksonville in quite some time, where we're able to just march down the field and score. So Liam, he has a plan. He's very offensive minded. He strikes fast, as we've seen. His history of his coaching philosophy and style has been that. Coming from the McVay tree,
right,
and being able to do what he did with Baker Mayfield down in Tampa, completely changed his career around, right? I love the fact that they want the ball. They want to go and try to put points up. Now you give your defense an opportunity to go out there, get a stop, and go down. Your offense can go down and do it again.
Well, and
good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens next in Week 3, home against Houston. But Fred, I want to talk about kind of your career a little bit.
Okay.
You were here, got here early on Coughlin time. I appreciate that.
Coughlin time, man. Maybe I was late. I don't know.
He had his own time zone.
Yeah.
If you're not 5 minutes early, you're late.
But
late. My question to you is, like, looking back on it, like, what was one of the other rules that Coughlin had? You're looking back on was like the most like, come on, coach.
So we had the meeting rule right there. You just mentioned it, the Coughlin time, 5 minutes. You had to be in there 5 minutes before the actual meeting started. So we had a 3 o'clock. You needed to be in there 2:50, really 2:54. But we also had this thing, if you've seen the movie Life, they had the gun line, right? Tell them about the gun line, boss.
I love that movie.
Right. We had this like concentration line. And it was when you entered the practice field.
Right.
And if you're not inside the concentration line before, almost like the Coughlin time meeting, you were going to be fined. And it wasn't just a regular fine. So we had this one fine that he considered conduct detrimental.
Whoa.
Yes, it was detrimental to your conduct is detrimental to the benefit or the progression of the team. So you were a liability, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and conduct detrimental hit your pockets big time.
Whew.
And I could tell you one quick story. We had a player, Marlos Leroy. We had our business attire was our travel attire.
Okay.
Everyone had to buy it way back in those days.
Right.
Now they just pull up in a nice Jag throwback jacket like you got on, and it's all good with some Gucci Louis and all that other stuff. But in Marlos, so he went to Georgia. We played at Florida. Keenan McCardle bet Marlos that if the Bulldogs lost to the Gators, that he would be able to pick him out a custom-made suit. Now, Marlos wasn't known for dressing.
Okay.
His suits were, they were from wherever, but he wasn't known for dressing. So this was his first custom suit,
right,
by Keenan McCardle, the best-dressed guy on the team. It was a bright orange Florida Gator colored suit and some bright orange crocodile shoes, dress shoes.
I reckon that thing had 4 buttons.
That's when the Gators had the Bulldogs numbers.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to win. Coughlin fined him $10,000.
What? 5 figures?
Money that he did not have. Because he was like a free agent guy who got moved up. He didn't have the money. But he was fine.
Because he looked like the guy from wore the suit from Dumb and Dumber.
Pretty much.
I would love to see a picture of that.
Pretty much. It might be around somewhere. We didn't really have a whole lot of camera phones or anything back then, but it might exist.
That's great.
Was there one, looking back on it, was there one particular defender, like in your day and age, that you always circled on the calendar going, hey, this is going to be a rough Sunday?
Not necessarily.
No?
It was going to be hell for them.
Yeah, that's right.
But there were teams,
right,
as a unit. there were teams that I didn't necessarily was going to be rough. I knew they were going to get me to bring my best out, get us to bring our best out. But my mindset was always, I want your best. And it was usually the Ravens, the Steelers, those type of teams, the Buccaneers. They had a defense full of Hall of Famers, at the end of it now. There weren't a ton of other teams. Well, the Titans.
Sure.
The Titans were that team. They eventually became that team from my second year forward. I absolutely despise that entire organization. Although I have some really close friends that I played against, and I've made a ton of other really good friends. And that's what the sport does. You want to compete. You want to go out there and give it your all, but you leave it out there. But you can walk away, knowing that, look, we're just competing. All the other personal stuff, throw it out. Man, how's your family? Hug your wife, hug your kids. Yep. Like, we're all good homeboys, and that's kind of what I walked away with. But the Titans, the Ravens, the Steelers, that's the old AFC Central.
The whole old
AFC Central, man.
Sure. Yeah. And, looking back, at your stats, conventional wisdom these days goes, hey, running backs after 30, don't touch them. Yeah. Your most productive and consistent seasons were at ages 30 and 31 in 2006 and 2007. What was that like for you to be kind of going into your 30s going, man, I still got so much game to play and so much left to prove?
Right. It was a challenge. Much like when they tried to label me fragile, the average career is about 3 years. I turned out 13. In my opinion, I don't see anything fragile about that. But,
no.
When they tried to plant that tag on me, I was like, all right, I got to do some things differently. And I just started to kind of shift a few things that I was doing, and I was able to play a lot more games consistently. And that post 30, from that mark onward, there was a stat that said guys after 30 started to decline.
Right.
For me, that was a challenge.
Yep.
So I was like, I got to turn it up a notch. So I started training differently and taking care of my body differently. I was getting a lot more rest at home. My wife, she said, all right, no more 5 nights a week on South Beach. We got to dial it back to one night. So that way I was able to, really just focus and recover, because you realize now you're 30, it takes so much more to recover. Right? You're not a spring chicken. You can't just roll out of bed and go run 4.3, 4.4. You got to really put some effort into it. And after that, I was like, all right, I have to do things the right way. And I have to also give credit to Maurice. Mm-hmm. Maurice was one of those guys who, from 30, I believe when we met each other when I was 30, we were teammates for 3 years. In my last 2 years, 34 and 35, I went on to New England. So from 30 on, I had a good, castmate.
Right.
A great co-mate that we shared the backfield, and we trained together in the off season. We challenged each other. We competed against each other, and we're still best of friends.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yep. It does.
And kind of looking now at kind of today's game with all your knowledge and wisdom, is there a particular move, a cut, a skill that you think that today's running backs, the youngins, aren't doing enough?
Jeez, I hate to be the Monday morning running back.
Yeah.
And second guess these guys, because really what we're, what I like to speak to those guys about really is just trusting your eyes.
Sure.
Right. I always tell them more than anything else, you have to trust your eyes. That position is about 90% instincts. The other 10%, I think you have to know what you're doing. But you have to just be great at reacting and anticipating things happening. They can have better vision. What I see with a lot of young backs is they don't have great vision. The footwork is there a lot of the times. Sometimes they're all playing too fast, too high.
Okay.
So I like to say, look, slow your tempo down, because once you take a step, that's the threat step. That's your immediate threat. The defense has to take off, because the defense is 8-man spacing. They all have gap integrity in lanes they have to be in. So if a young back knows this, once you take a step, they got to flow.
Right.
And just slow everything down. Don't let the game get too fast, because if it does, then the pressure mounts. When you slow it down and you take a deep breath, you can manipulate and do everything you want to do. So
That's great perspective.
yeah.
Who do you think is the best running back in the game right now?
Come on now, Saquon.
Okay.
And Saquon is he just has all the tools. He does everything. Catches well, runs well, makes all the right cuts, has the power, has explosiveness. You're not gonna run him down. Blitz pickup, you're not gonna run him over.
Yep.
You know, I think Saquon would be my one. Derek is close because of just how physical he is, right? And you know, for young guys, I want to throw Bijan in that mix.
Okay.
What have you seen from Bijan?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything Saquon can do, Bijan can do. I mean, equally as good. Equally as good. I haven't really paid a ton of attention to Bijan in the pass protection game, but I'm sure he's capable. I haven't heard anything negative out there. I just hadn't evaluated it. But everything else, he's a jewel. He has everything. I mean, everything. He reminds me of a Marshall Faulk mixed with Saquon, mixed with a little Barry. He has everything.
I hope he has a good year because I've got him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I tried to get it. He was gone quick. Yeah, especially when I don't know what's going on in our fantasy league. I think 3 years in a row I picked like 10, 11, 12.
I had someone in mind who drafted B. Robinson Jr., Brian Robinson Jr., number 5, in mine. And we did the old school, and they pushed it up, and it took us 3 picks, and then we're like, dude, you didn't draft Bijan. You drafted Brian Robinson.
You got to be a little more careful. Where's that? It's not quick enough. The
and they're like, can we take it down? I'm like, no, you can't.
More careful.
You can't take that down.
That is crazy. You guys are rude. You didn't let him swap it out?
No,
wow.
it's set.
That's a tough league. Yeah, that's what they're for.
You take the sticker off. You had enough time. You put it on.
You should know better.
You should know better.
Wow.
We play for keeps in our fantasy.
Hey, I don't blame you. I just found out that even on the ESPN, you could manually select the draft picks.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like the selections.
Yeah.
I think our our commissioner probably has been cheating. 3 years in a row, I got 10, 11, and 12. I think he's messing with me.
You know, one thing I kind of realized going into this year was the free agents, not just the free agents we got, but the kind of free agents we got. I think Jordan Lewis, I think Eric Murray, Macari. You know, what's kind of stood out for the people that they brought on, the vets that they brought on in this new regime under James Gladstone?
I mean, I think they've been active early.
Yeah.
You look at week 1, the guys they made some plays that, contributed to the win right there. Even from, starting out the game, we had an early PBU that led to an interception that led to points. And then on the back end, we had another interception that closed the game out.
Yeah, Jordan Lewis with a nice one-hander.
Jay Lou, he had a really nice one-hander. I told him, I said it through the radio show, that he should have probably gave Wingert his interception ball because of the holding.
Yeah.
When he was picked 6.
Dewey housed it.
Yeah, he got it called back. He would have had 2 back-to-back picks with the pick that he had yesterday, or the pick that he had versus the Bengals. So I don't know, man. I think right now, the guys that have been brought in, as well as the draft picks, when you look at too, and LeQuint Allen Jr., how well they've been running and how they're producing in the run game, and from an offensive standpoint, we know with Travis Hunter, what he's capable of. Look at De'Ami Brown. Minus the drop touchdown. De'Ami, I love you, man. I was happy they brought you here. The big play. I'm sure he'll bounce back, because he did bounce back.
Yeah,
on a
he's produced. He has produced.
Big 3rd and 9, but he's produced.
Yeah,
in the air and on the ground. So it seems that Gladstone, Baselli, Coach Cohen, they've made the right moves, because all those guys are been a big part of where we are now.
And I mean, you've overlapped. I mean, how did you have a great podcast called The Pivot.
Thank you.
That started, it was a 21, 22?
22. Yep.
How did you start that? Who came up with the idea?
We were at another podcast, and I will not say the name for the sake of sparing myself from myself. And unfortunately, the paperwork wasn't, done right, and it was just kind of a handshake and trust amongst guys who considered themselves friends, and that fell through. So we had to pivot. And in the midst of pivoting, we, Channing, who was over there as well, we got with the producer who was there as well. And the three of us reached out to Ryan Clark.
Yep.
And RC said, yeah, let's make it happen. And we all agreed that before we did anything, before we cut a single episode, we were going to button up the paperwork. So we talked splits, equity, the entire structure, build out. Went from there, and that took a couple days. Once we have an in-house attorney that kind of handles everything, came in for equity. Once we got that ironed out, we named it. We was like, oh, we just pivoted. Let's just call it the Pivot.
Let's roll with it.
And let's not tell a soul. And then we created a trailer, and next thing you know, we started cutting episodes. Our first episode was actually Plexico Burrs.
Oh, yeah.
Plex was our first tape episode, although we released that maybe 6 or 7 months after the fact. But that was December of 21. And we released that. We released our first episode January 4th. 22.
And so 3.5 years later of doing this podcast, what have you learned the most about, I don't know, yourself?
That I like the grind.
Yeah.
I like the grind. I like the hustle. I'm on a plane about 45 weeks out the year, just about. And it's not always just you go and you stay and you kind of enjoy cities. It's wake up at 3 a.m., out of the house at 4. I'm on a 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. flight, touchdown somewhere at 8:39, knock out 2, 3, 4 shows, whatever, it calls for. And I'm back home, midnight. So it's a 21-hour day or whatever that might be. So the grind, I didn't know I had that in me, as well as talking as much as I don't talk a lot on the podcast, but when I do talk, I try and put emphasis on it. It's always from the heart.
Sure.
But as a player, and when my career, I didn't talk. I rarely spoke. And my wife is like, who is this guy? She doesn't even recognize me most times. And the people that knew me before we started the podcast, they're like, when did you started speaking? So, yeah, I kind of joke about that. But
you've had so much success, too. You've got over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And that's, I mean, not a lot of people can say they've done that.
It's like I said, it's been a journey, but even starting out, even with the other podcasts that we were a part of, it was just something during the pandemic. We said, hey, let's get out the house.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just go out of the house. And for me, the good part about it was I had experience in doing radio here in Jacksonville, post-game, pre-game radio with the team that I was going to turn down. But Dan Edwards, our former senior PR person over there, he asked, he said, hey, I got this opportunity for you. You want to do it? I was like, nah, I ain't doing no radio. You crazy, Dan? He's like, well, don't turn it down now. Give me 2 weeks. In a few days, he called me. He's like, I couldn't wait 2 weeks. Come up to Jacksonville. Let's figure this out. And he kind of just broke it down to me. He said, when you're doing radio, say what happened. Because they're on the other end, they can't see. So explain what happened. Right? And for those that did see, still let them know what happened. They want to hear your opinion. And if you're doing TV, color, analysis, tell them why it happened. They can see it, but they don't always know why. So he just said, just act like you're at a bar talking to a friend about a game, and that kind of took off. And from there, we were able to go into the podcast space, and it's been great.
Do you ever cut an episode and then think later, gosh, I shouldn't release that because I said something I shouldn't have said. I've done that a couple times now, and I have a series of lost episodes that I hope never see the air.
Well, you can't lose
because I'm talking to somebody like I'm at a bar.
Losing the entire episode? I mean, so
I might go down a rabbit hole for 15
Well,
minutes.
yeah, you have to really go and just kind of clean it up. But you know what? The good thing is we've shot maybe, I don't know, in 3.5 years, we've shot well over 500 shows.
Okay.
That's including our shorts and clips and everything. So the good thing is, one, is we control it.
Yep.
Right? We have the power to edit. It's our show. The great thing is we're open. We're open book. We're transparent. We try and give raw realness to, the people that are on the other side coming to, listen and check us out or see what we got to say. What we try to focus on is making sure we're respectful of the subject, of the guest, right? If there's something that the guest might say, we make sure that, look, we'll reach out to them and say, hey, you sure? How do you feel about this? You want to leave that, or where are we with this? And we've saved a lot of people. And we've also saved ourselves because of how things might come across sometimes. Even the big viral moment with Channing about Russ.
Right.
Channing does not hate Russell Wilson. It might seem that way because he continues to go viral and he doubled down on how he feels about the corny versus lame.
Right.
I'm like, I just toss it all out, right? Channing has acknowledged that Russ is an amazing human being and husband and all that good stuff. He just doesn't think he's cool. I don't agree with Channing on a lot of stuff. But again, we control it all, and we try to be respectful of everyone. We don't care about just going viral. We want to do good content.
Well, I think that's why you've had so much success.
Yeah. And you're talking about being a quiet player. Another quiet player on the Jaguars is Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
And actually, you had him on the pivot about 4 weeks ago. I mean, what would you like, fans to know about him? And do you have a message that you think you would give to Brian, given the first 2 weeks of the season, how it's gone so far?
Just got my first Brian is just keep grinding, man. It's part of the game. Even a year ago, he didn't really hit his mark until, after first 5 or 6 games.
Right.
And he still ended up being, what was it? 1,300 yards.
Third in the NFL in yards.
Third in the NFL in yards. So, and he didn't hit his stride for a while. So he has to make sure he's, maintaining his confidence.
Yes.
And understand that these things do happen. Now, you can't get too tough on yourself, but just continue to work. Get on that jugs machine, double down on everything. That's the third time I've said double down on it.
You triple down on double down.
Triple down on double down, right? That's probably what I just but no, I think he just needs to refocus and go back into doing the main thing. Right? We always say keep the main thing. Get on the jugs machine. Just catch unlimited amounts of balls after practice. And now once you've done this, you can go into the game with the ultimate confidence. And if you do happen to have a drop, that's
next play.
It's part of it. So you have to move forward. What I want the fans to know about Brian is he's, one of the most humble, respectful, amazing people that I've met. He wants to win. He wants to learn how to be a leader. I think that's on his shoulders this year. And he wants to try to put the team on his shoulder and go out and win for, the Jacksonville community. So hopefully he can kind of bounce back and go back out there and redeem himself and make plays the way we know he can make them.
Jaguar fans are pretty forgiving. We kind of have to be.
We don't have the option to not.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I've also seen where we can be a little tough too.
But, exactly.
It comes with the territory.
Yep.
Yeah, it comes with it.
And, I mean, looking ahead, it looks like a pretty tough stretch for the Jaguars until they're by in week 8. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Fred.
Okay.
Seeing what you've seen, you talked about the creativity of Liam's office, how it's changed, and you've seen the playmakers on both sides of the ball. Do you think it's more likely than not, or less likely than not, that they're going to make the playoffs this year?
So I have a push-up friendly bet with Channing Crowder. that the Jags are going to win more games than the Dolphins. It's like 100 push-ups in 5 minutes. Like if you can't, you got to do 100 push-ups, Channing. He's like 5 minutes. I need like 10 or 15. You're like, all right, cool. So that bet might be locked in. I don't know.
That looks good.
And it's no money involved, trust me. So I think they will make the playoffs.
I do too.
I believe they will make the playoffs. Obviously, you have to win those games like versus the Bengals that you think you're supposed to win, but they have to just close out. They have a really tough schedule. The Colts look great in the division right now. The Texans, we're yet to see what they really look like. The Titans, obviously, they don't look great, but they've had our number over the course of the year. So who knows? So you have to win your division first and foremost, and then from there kind of branch out and get the other wins around. But yeah, I'll go on record and say I think the Jags can make the playoffs. I like, I don't know, 12-5.
Oh, all right.
I was going to ask.
All right.
Yeah.
And let's go to last year, May 2024. You graduate from University of Florida.
Yeah.
You fulfilled a promise to your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that nobody in the family knew about that?
Very true. Not until I got ready to tell them.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I wasn't sure. Like I was just doing so much with the pivot, and work and working with the Jags here and traveling, have to do the ambassador stuff overseas. So I wasn't sure if I could handle the load. It was 10 credits. It was 2 courses, but 10 credits. So 5 credits each, but they were like the big courses.
Yeah.
In sociology major. And I got something in my eye. And I'm not crying, I promise you. So it was methods and theory. Mm-hmm. And those courses were tough. A lot of writing in one, a lot of statistics in another. And I hadn't done stats since my 1995. Like, oh boy, here we go. So I dove in and, I registered. I reached out to the school and I said, hey, I want to go back for a spring. I want to try to knock these 2 courses out. They were finally offering them online. And that was a bit of the holdup. I did not want to go back in the classroom in Gainesville over the years. So I was like, not yet. I was having a family and all that stuff. And then when it finally was available to do online, I was like, all right, let me jump out there. So still hesitant, but I said, let's at least reach out to the advisor. I did that. We locked in the courses. Now I said, all right, I got the drop ad window. Let's see how I can do it. What's going to be my game plan? What's the strategy? I hired a tutor that can help. And once I did that, maybe when they announced the graduation stuff and I realized my grades were still good enough that I could potentially graduate, I told my wife, I told my mom, and then I ended up telling my son, who actually graduated from high school, to go to the University of Florida. Cool. I was like, as you're entering, I'm leaving. And I just wanted to make sure that I got the full experience. So I went back and ended up walking with the youngins.
Well, 26 years later, man, good for you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Good for you.
Awesome.
And I think we're going to finish this up by doing I'm going to do a little word association. I think
Whatever
Chris and I are going to back off. So I'm going to say, Chris and I are going to go back and forth on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to say one Jaguars player, and you just say first word that comes to mind. All right.
So is this current or just
any Jaguar? Any Jaguar. All right.
Okay. Hope my memory's good enough.
I'm not going to be going
12,000 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ernest Wilford. No, I'm kidding.
Ernest, that's my guy. Ernest taught me how to tie a tie.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
What do you got?
Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby. He was trade bait, obviously, but good player.
Yeah.
I think Tank's biggest red flag was he put the ball on the ground too much. So he had some ball handling issues, but dynamic, can catch, can run. I wasn't in the room to actually see what kind of completely provoked the trade, but I thought that for the team to go back and kind of recoup some, draft day asset and value by getting picks, then I like the move, especially how ETN has kind of come on.
I'm going to go with an old head, David Garrard.
DG. DG, you're going to hate me for this, but I was going to stick my old teammate with some Ozempic when I saw him. I don't know if that might be evil. That might be evil.
He rocked the fedora, though.
Yeah, I ain't asking y'all to cut it. DG was one of my favorite teammates, just an amazing person, great runner. He could also pass. I think DG is a little bit ahead of his time.
I think so, too.
David would absolutely excel in this era of football with the zone read and the RPOs and all of that because they weren't tackling him. He was a Steve McNair type, can throw it, put some zip on it, very smart, had some decent speed, but he was more physical than fast. His wife, Mary, just an amazing person. She keeps him grounded. ECU, I had to hear enough of that Eastern Carolina stuff.
Pirates.
Yeah, but David's amazing, man. He's a good person.
Well, you got one more to lead us off?
I've got one more. This is more of a question.
Mm-hmm.
I've got about 80 Trevor Lawrence rookie cards of a different variety in my safe. Should I get rid of them now, or should I keep them for the future?
Ooh.
I mean, so this is the thing. Any signatures on them?
No. Well, yes. I got a downtown card with the signature.
I would say, are they graded?
They're all
graded?
almost all of them are graded.
Oh, wow. You got some 10s in there?
10s, 9s.
Well, I would say, personally, I root for Trevor.
Yeah.
You can actually, you can leverage your position, right?
I'm just wondering
if you got 80 of them. I mean, what's wrong with
diversify?
What's wrong with say a quarter? Like
that's fair.
20 of them, maybe you can move 20 and
Okay.
kind of fat your pocket a little bit and then kind of wait and see what happens with the rest. I think at the end of the day, you're not going to lose any money.
Okay.
Trevor's a guy who's going to be in the NFL for years.
Mm-hmm.
Forbid any injury, knock on wood, because he's had his share of injuries, and those things have slowed him down, right? We haven't been able to realize his true potential, but he does have potential, a ton of it. He looks great under Liam, and the way he operates this system. And again, going back to the game the other day, Liam was like, hey, you got to throw it here. Those happen, right?
Yeah.
People, the media is considered a spat coach, player.
I kind of like that. It was a passion,
happens. That happens. Stop being crazy, media people. And I'm one of the media people now. And it wasn't me, though, because I know better. But I would say hold on to your lot and, give it time. Because pretend it's Bitcoin. Would you still be holding Bitcoin?
Yes.
All these years later?
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying? So,
There you go.
Well, that was a good answer.
Fred, thank you so much for being on to the Unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Guys, legend.
I'm like a kid on Christmas, and they have cheated you so far out of that Hall of Fame, man.
Oh,
if you were not in Jacksonville with your stats, you would have been in it already.
You know what? I always tell people, though, man, God's timing is the best.
Yeah.
And God is going to, he's in full control of that. But in terms of, and I've spoken about the Jacksonville market thing. Yes, reality says it's a small market. Yeah. But the people here, the friendships that I've made, the business opportunities that I've come across, just the city itself, the growth that I've seen over the years. I invested in Sporting Jacks, the soccer team, because I do believe in soccer. I believe in the city. I believe it's going to grow with the city, or the city's going to grow with the team, and vice versa. And I also understand that God only gives you what you can handle.
Yep.
I was drafted 9th overall in the 98 draft here in the state of Florida in Jacksonville, an hour from where I went to play college ball, 4 hours from where I grew up. It depends on how fast you're driving. My family could see me each and every home game, so that was a blessing in itself, giving back to them, spending to them. If I had gone to New York, a bigger market, or Philly or L.A. somewhere, who knows if a kid from a small hometown, like Belgrade, would have been able to handle that.
Yep.
The media, how they beat you up, how I had to experience those things throughout the media with the injuries early in my career. Who knows if I would have been able to handle that. That's why God looked out for me, going ninth here in the state of Florida, all those things I mentioned, as well as no state tax.
Yep.
That's a plus.
I got the best deal in that draft, and I'm thankful that it allowed me to be here in Jacksonville, because if I had gone somewhere else, who knows if my name is in the Ring of Honor.
Yep.
So whenever that Hall of Fame thing happened, we can all here in the city of Jacksonville have one big ass crazy big party.
You better believe
that's
we'll be
what's
there.
going to happen.
Amen to that.
Sure.
Well, we love you. Jacksonville loves you, and thank you again, man. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you.
me,
Thank you,
guys.
Fred.
Appreciate it, fella.
We'll be right back here with the closing segment. Thanks. Special thanks to Fred Taylor. Man, what about that? Canton. Get him in. Get him in the Hall of Fame. What are y'all doing, man? God, he's a legend. And as we're kind of looking, having Fred Taylor be our first guest, I wanted to close the show with what I think is going to be a recurring segment here called it's kind of corny, but I like it. The Claws of History. And if you all saw my first episode where I did an extended metaphor between the Tom Coughlin Jaguars and the rise and the apex of the Spanish Empire, you'll know I'm kind of a history buff. But instead of that, I'm not going to be talking to you an hour about history. I'm just going to talk to you a couple of minutes and try to think about a particular event or thing, whether it's war, movies, art, music, etc., from the past, where we can kind of get a snapshot of, okay, where are the Jaguars now, and how can we see this going forward, right? So today's Claws of History, I'm going to be talking to you about Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan, big Star Wars fan. Andor, great show. Check it out on Disney Plus. It is so good. But I'm a Star Wars nerd, and I was thinking about Star Wars here this morning. Star Wars wasn't Star Wars, while it was being filmed, right? No one knew anything about space wizards and Han Solo and Jedi and the Force and the Death Star and all that stuff. But in 1977, George Lucas had this crazy out there idea, for this movie, a space opera, laser swords, and he spent years of his life putting it together, fighting with studios, like shooting in like Tunisia, and, sticking together, some practical effects that nobody thought really would work. I mean, it was an insane project. So finally, he's about, 3/4 of the way through it. He's gotten most of it shot. There was a test screening for the executives and some of his friends. It bombed. People laughed. I heard that one studio executive walked out. The pacing of the movie was off. The special effects weren't finished to the extent that we know that they eventually were. And actually, John Williams' classic score didn't even exist yet. They were just using like temporary tracks from other movies. So to the untrained eye, Star Wars looked like a disaster. The studio nearly pulled the plug on Star Wars. But Lucas didn't quit. He refined it. He took the feedback. He added John Williams' music. He sharpened the edits. He made the practical effects better. And a movie became a blockbuster to transcend generations. And the Jaguars are like that first cut of Star Wars right now. Last Sunday against the Bengals wasn't the blockbuster, right? It was a rough cut. Messy, flawed, but the story's still there. The question is can the Jaguars finish the edit before the season really hits its stride? You know, Joe Burrow leaves the first half with a toe injury. The Bengals turn to Jake Browning. You know, that should have been like the exhaust port for the Death Star that Luke can shoot and blow it up. But that didn't come to pass. Jake Browning beat us again. Instead, the Jaguars stumbled through the second half like a rough cut. You know, penalties at the worst times, drops on easy plays. Trevor, you know, playing good, but not great. A defense that just couldn't close it out, even though Travis Hunter did his best on that fourth down. Cincinnati drives 90-plus yards with the game on the line, and suddenly you're walking out of the theater, shaking your head, going, what the hell did I just watch for the last 3.5 hours? It hurt, and this loss hurt the most because we know the talent is there. Trevor threw some dimes that reminded you why we hold him to such high regard. The defense, especially at the beginning, had stretches where they were disruptive at all times. And you saw flashes of what this team can be, especially in week 1 against Carolina. But just like the rough cut of Star Wars, the raw ingredients are on the screen, but it was messy. It wasn't polished, and it wasn't ready for the big stage yet. And that's the thing. It's okay. Because like Lucas, you don't judge the version and the vision off the first cut. You judge it by what he puts on the screen. So, fix them. Fix the penalties. Refine the playbook. Refine the execution of the plays. And the story that Liam Cohen is trying to tell will still be intact. This isn't a team without a vision. This is not 2023 Jaguars. This is not 2024 Jaguars. I sincerely believe that. This is a team that's still in the editing room. And that's what excites me. If they learn from this loss, if they respond the way champions can do, then this Bengals game might end up being as the rough cut we will look back on months from now and say, that's when they figured it out. That's where we'll figure out if a loss teaches them on how to win. So, no, it wasn't the polished epic, but we're still waiting for that John Williams soundtrack, right? We're still waiting for that final edit. The Jaguars will learn from this, clean up the turnovers, finish drives, stay disciplined. I believe that they will. And if they don't, I'll be the first one to put my hand up. Sports, just like cinema, the rough cut isn't the ending. It's only the beginning of the story. And so far, I've liked what I've seen. This has been this version of the Claws of History, our first Claws of History. That is our show. Thank you, Fred Taylor, for being here. Thanks, Christopher Campione, for being here as well. Thanks to Campione Law for help me put on this podcast. Remember, bad things happen to good people. Give us a shout. We'd be happy to help. And remember, buy uninsured motorist coverage. It will help if a bad thing happens to you. That's all I have. Again, Seth Studer, until 2 weeks from now, go Jags.